Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
November 5, 2020, the post-election blahs edition. First up, the son of the Brazilian president faces graft charges. President Bolsonaro in Brazil is generally recognized as a corrupt politician, and now we have his son being charged with corruption as well. Sounds a little bit like presidency and his family here. However, Bolsonaro pair is au pair is a senator. And he's been under investigation for allegations he took part in a scheme to siphon off taxpayer money in his former job as a state deputy in Rio. Prosecutors say he engaged in a widespread practice in local politics where corrupt lawmakers hire people who agree to kick back part of their salary. Next up, in an interesting article from Gartner, they identify top strategic trends in tech for 2020. They include the Internet of Behaviors, total experience, privacy-enhancing computation, distributed cloud, anywhere operations, cybersecurity mesh, intelligent composable business, AI engineering, hyperautomation. And if you're a compliance professional, you need to be aware of these and you need to assess the risks for your organization. Next up from the Washington Post, the Trump administration ends on the same note it came in, corruption. From the earliest days in the administration, around the time of the inauguration, up to the death throes of a dead, bloated whale, the Trump administration has engaged in corruption, and now they're trying to corrupt not only the U.S. voting process, but the U.S. courts as well. So hopefully John Roberts thinks more of the courts than Trump does. And finally, from the Financial Times, if you've ever worked in Saudi Arabia or in the Middle East, you're aware of the system, at least in Saudi, called Kafala, which is an overseas workers have to be tied to sponsors who are responsible for their legal status. Fully 1/3 of those living in Saudi Arabia are foreigners. This, of course, is largely around energy. The change will be they'll be able to move jobs and secure exit visas electronically without prior approval of their employers. This set of reforms will safeguard the rights of employees and employers in the private sector, and is something that human rights groups have been lobbying for some time. It comes as the Gulf states seek to overhaul their labor markets to better suit the knowledge-based 2020 workforce than the current types of workers that they have in Saudi Arabia, which, of course, are mainly manual laborers. But that's true literally throughout the Gulf states. With the 2022 World Cup coming to Qatar, there has been increased focus on the rights, or rather lack of rights, of workers in Qatar. So it's going to be interesting to see if they will modernize and be open to Western ideas around employee rights within the human rights experience as well. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.